I greatly appreciate the opportunity coming out here tonight. It's interesting how this whole thing fell together and fell in my lap, so to speak. And I run a custom home building company, and this is a whole nother part of my life that has come out the last few years and trying to help and give back. And so it's really, just the fact that I'm up here talking right now is such a huge, it just makes me feel so happy because I talked about it for years. And finally, it came to fruition about 1.5 years ago. So to get started, I guess I'd like to start by saying I'd like to thank Fibo Casa for holding this event. And this is a great place, and obviously make sure you guys check out all the things that they have here to offer. And then Mark, your team, everybody that came in to cook and just help and set this thing up. So starting there, just appreciate you guys all. And the fact that people are here for something bigger than themselves, I think just goes to show that who you guys all are, all as people. And I've said this a few different times before. You can ask 100 people, hey, do you support veterans? And I firmly believe that 100 of them will say yes. But if you ask them how they'll support a veteran, then maybe they're, trying to figure out what that looks like. Maybe it's buying somebody a coffee at Starbucks because they're in uniform or something like that. So I just, again, appreciate a lot of gratitude for the fact that you guys are all here wanting to do something for the greater good of people outside of this room. I also want to thank all my employees from Peak One Builders that are supporting me now and are a part of this journey with me and how my building company will impact Freedom for Heroes in the long run as far as donations and things like that. So that is a very important piece to my overall mission of what we're trying to accomplish. So that's one of the things that we have a lot of gratitude for, and it's important to recognize those people that support us through this whole thing. And Katie from Catherine Mueller Design, over the years, all the things that we've done together, the houses that we've built for wounded warriors. And then our board of directors, which encompasses Katie. Raise your hand, Katie. Shelby, where are you at? Shelby and my wife, Gina. Where is she? Oh. They're on the board, so they keep me balanced. They keep me, on my toes and help me with ideas and sounding boards and things like that. So that's really important that I thank them as well, because it is an important piece of the pie. And Julie, our marketing person, is not here today, but she's done an unbelievable job of tying a lot of this stuff together. And then last but not least is Sandy, who Sandy recently joined our team, and she's my assistant on both the building side and the Freedom for Heroes side, and it's helped me immensely create the vision of who I want to be as a person, but also where I see both companies going ultimately. And so I can't thank you enough for tying all the loose ends up. And I know there's so many things that happen behind the scenes. When you see these things, you don't really understand what's going on, but you put it all together, and then to come up with all that merchandise too that we're trying to sell as well. So thank you very much for that. I guess a brief moment about who I am. I'm a custom home builder for 23 years. I served 21 years in the Army as an infantry officer. So I did a couple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and gave up 2 years of my life to see some of the things that we shouldn't see as human beings downrange. And so what has really been the catalyst for me moving forward, because I had this idea of doing this for a while, and unfortunately I've had 6 of my friends take their lives. And it was the last one that really was the catalyst that pushed me over the edge and was really just pushed me to do something, like take action and make it happen. So again, just to see this is pretty cool, like to see everybody out here and how this whole thing fell together. So that was really the catalyst of why I started Freedom for Heroes. It is a 501c3 organization. We've been around for about 2 years. And basically what we're trying to do is fill a void of where the VA cannot help. The VA is a giant institution, and what they're able to do is just, it's hard to overcome that. And so we have 3 pillars. One of them is an outdoor adventure piece, and my approach, and from being an infantry guy, we wear this coat of armor that, we're tough. Nobody can, kill us. Nobody can beat us down. Nobody's gonna mentally mess us up either. And so we tend to wear that armor. And so to get rid of that armor is a really, really tough barrier to get through. So I've taken the approach, instead of going to a veteran and going, hey, let me help you with your mental health, the first thing they're going to do is put their hands up and say, I'm good, leave me alone. And I would venture to say that's probably 60-70% of the veterans out there. And I'm talking male and female. There's no differentiation here. So that's a big piece of how we solve this mental health problem, I believe. And so my thought was, instead of coming directly at somebody, why don't we create some outdoor adventure pieces? I'm a huge outdoors guy. I love anything to do with the outdoors. And so that kind of drove me to put together this, backpacking, camping trips. We've done some fishing tournaments. We've, gotten hunting tags donated and things like that. So my approach is sort of a backdoor approach, and that's, let's build the camaraderie. Let's build a tribe of people that can get together, that want to be together, and then we can talk about our, 2 retreats that we want to run a year at an Airbnb or something like that. So that's kind of my approach. Instead of hitting it head on, I've tried to backdoor it, if you will, and try to come at it a different approach. And when you get veterans to open up because they're around other veterans, they start telling stories about, hey, where'd you serve? What unit were you in? What conflict were you in? And it just naturally breaks down these walls and these barriers of who we are as service members. And I think that's a really important piece, because once you can break that barrier down, I feel like that's your in. That's the open door to now, let's get you guys to come out next month. Let's come out for the hike. Let's come out for a backpacking trip or a fishing trip. And so that's kind of been my approach, and it's challenging because I think one of the biggest things I face is, raising money is, I would say it's relatively easy. I haven't really tried a ton yet because I'm trying to get them to show up. And so pass the word, that'll help me immensely, like us on Facebook and Instagram. But if you know a veteran, even if he just wants to come out and go fishing for the day, we do this thing every fall, and we had like 30 people show up last year. And again, so if we can start creating this tribe or this community, which is where I feel the VA is lacking, then we can get them to come out for a weekend retreat in an Airbnb here and up in Sedona. That's ultimately what we're going to try to do. Not trying to solve all the problems at once. That's kind of the goal. We do have a calendar online on our website that talks about a lot of these things. We have a backpacking trip coming up in 5 weeks, and that we are getting an outdoor adventure company from Sedona that's actually going to help facilitate part of that, which is really good because I kind of joke with people and say this is like kind of a side hustle for me because I get some time, I'll go work on it. We'll have an event like this, we'll get some traction. So the more the word gets spread and really just putting that word out there, I think will make an impact. And that's really what I'm trying to do. So the first pillar is outdoor adventures. The second pillar is what I call expert guidance. And that is where we're trying to help them with an advocate, meaning you want to file a VA claim because you got a bad back, bad knees, whatever that looks like. Let us help you with that. Let us pair you up with somebody that can help walk you through that, because even my own personal experience, I filed one time, I got so frustrated, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm running a business and I don't have time for this. And I think a lot of people go through that because they're like, I got my civilian insurance, I don't even want to deal with this anymore. But to my wife's credit, she said, you better figure this out because you got to be able to help others. And so that was a really crucial bit of advice she gave me. And so we found some advocates that we've helped some service members file claims, which is a big piece of it. And then the other part of the expert guidance is trying to get them help with a mental health expert. And then the third pillar is these weekend retreats where we tie everything together. And that's the goal. And again, not trying to solve it all in 1 year or a couple years, but just trying to get some traction and get the word out there and try to help some people. And there's a lot of veteran organizations out there that are very giving. The last thing we want is to have some vet spiral out of control. And that means, leave me alone, I'm going to sit in my house, I'm going to drink, I'm going to do drugs. That's the last thing we want. That's where we're trying to help keep them away from that. And if we can create that community, that's impactful. And so as we go through the year, if you follow us on Instagram and Facebook, we're going to post these events as they come up. And hopefully we'll do more of these great events and try to spread the word to the community. And that's really kind of what I'm trying to do. I think it's important for me to paint a little bit of a picture of what service members go through in terms of just going through the training aspect of things. Everybody responds to things differently. Everybody handles physical abuse to some extent, sleep deprivation, all these things. And so again, you're building this muscle that civilians may not have the capacity to understand what service members do in the military. And so we're trying to, the sad part about all of this is that we're expected to come back from a deployment and flip a switch. you're back. Like, go do your civilian job, go do your military job, go back to your base. That's the worst part about it, and that's absolutely ridiculous. Everybody processes trauma different, and again, us trying to pair them with somebody that can help that. There's so many different things that the VA has now, which it has gotten better, but I think it's an important piece to understand that, you know, you are trained to do all these tough physical things, but you're also trained to turn around and pull a trigger or give an order to pull a trigger. And if you think that doesn't come up at some point, you know, you're sadly mistaken. It could be 10 years later, it could be 2 weeks after you get back, whether that's nightmares, you know, slamming doors, all those different things that they may experience. So I think it's trying to, you sort of have to reintroduce the trauma, work through it, but try to help them in that manner versus trying to bury it. Because as a veteran, they'll just push it down and they'll let it go, and then it'll come up 10 years later. So it's so hard to paint that picture of what we're expected to do coming back, and to flip a switch mentally after you've been out. And you know, my last unit that I was in Afghanistan, we conducted like 535 patrols in 1 year. We were outside the wire multiple times a day, and you are in that fight or flight constantly. And it's amazing what you get used to. The human body is an absolutely amazing, resilient, you know, piece of art, to be able to go through that day after day and get shot at and rocketed and mortared and all these things that happen, let alone dealing with the local populace and things like that don't want us there. So anyways, I hope that painted a little bit of a picture of what I feel like these guys and gals are going through. And so that's where Freedom for Heroes comes in. And again, we are a 501c3 organization. You know, we've got our website and Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. So please follow us. And again, thanks to Mark and his team, Bobby and his team, Feeble Casa, and hosting all of this, the great food. You know, mingle with everybody, learn something new from somebody that you never met before. And again, just thank you very much from the bottom of my heart that it means so much for you all to come out. Thank you.